Let's just start with a quick, surreal, parallel universe Trump moment, because Trump put out this executive order on Sunday saying that this was the most consequential thing almost in the history of the country. He was going to lower prescription drug prices by 30 to 80%. The executive order actually does nothing. He doesn't have the authority to do any of those things. But then he said just recently, I heard it on way too early this morning out in the Middle East, wherever he is, that a lot of Democrats were going to vote for this tax bill going through Ways and Means because it was going to lower drug prices. There's nothing in the tax bill that would lower drug prices. So the president is off on one universe and the world is on a different universe. But he is talking about a world that does exist. He's talking about a world in which drug prices are much more expensive outside the country than here. So if you look at all drugs, and you look at these countries plus about 25 developed countries as a whole, you can see that they pay about 36% of what we pay. In other words, we pay almost 3 times as much. When you look at branded drugs, the disparity is even greater. And when you look at generics, in fact, it's the other way around. Generics here are actually cheaper, but branded drugs are what people pay attention to. Why do they pay attention to it? Because while 90% of all the prescriptions written are written for generic drugs, branded drugs are 90% of the cost because they cost so much. So drug prices are higher here, and they definitely occupy a lot of people's wallet share.
Why are they so much more expensive here than in Canada or other countries? Why do you have Americans actually traveling around to other countries to buy drugs?
One reason for it is because most other countries, take Britain for example, which has national health insurance, they negotiate with the drug companies for the whole country at one time, and they basically say, here's what we're willing to pay. The drug companies don't have as much leverage, so they lower their prices. Also, versus our system, where of course you have Medicare, you have Medicaid, you have private insurance, you have people paying for it on their own, we have a very fragmented system, so there's no equally large force operating against the drug companies. The other reason, quite frankly, is we're a wealthier country and we're willing to pay more, and Europeans and others would simply say no to some drugs. We'll look at that in a minute, instead of paying those high prices.